Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 59th episode of the HSBG podcast. Wait, this is the wrong topic, but I'm your host, Educatedcollins, here with constant co-host Shady Bunny. Shady, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Collins. Happy to be here as usual. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Got a new bed yesterday, and it's firmer than my previous one, but I slept on it, and it was fine. It's probably good, take a while to get used to, but yeah. Other than that, I don't know, playing BGs and whatnot. I don't know. There's nothing too different. We had the Lobby Legends push this week. Also, Marvel Snap came out. I've been watching. I don't have access, but it looks pretty fun. Other than that, my day has been generally very samey. So yeah, that's about it. How about you, Shady? How was your week?
Oh, good. Well, we're gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
right?
we are gonna talk about it.
Diablo's back, and that's some mixed feelings about that, I guess. But overall, I'm just I guess I was really enjoying the pre-Diablo meta, and
The previous meta. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it feels like there's a little less
things you want to do.
Yeah, there's a lot. The strategies that I'm being rewarded for right now are a little bit more boring.
Yeah, they're not what you like to play. I agree.
I got like 8 or 9 second places today playing Shaker Comp or something. So I was like, hey, Shaker Comp's pretty good.
Doesn't die early.
Yeah. We could talk about like very specifics, but like the easy formula for me that's been working is things that are strong enough in the mid game and that have some scaling, right? Like Juggler is strong, but doesn't really scale. But you get like Shaker, you can gem swap after. You get a big Deflecto, and it's some scaling, right? Like George feels pretty good. Like again, like 2 second places with George where you do some kind of arm scaling, some kind of gem scaling. So like going for the massive scaling, like the double Nomi. I got a first place with Nomi, but it was a massive high roll. I think most of the time if you go Nomi, you're gonna die. So stuff like that. But whatever. Getting ahead of things.
We never get ahead of things in this show. That's unheard of here.
We don't do that.
But I mean, we always talk about our weekly overview. Generally, Diablo came out. We're kind of already doing that. I really should switch to this picture earlier. That's what I've been forgetting to do that. I've not been switching to the weekly overview topic early enough, and then I switched to it. Then I'm like, we kind of already talked about the weekly overview, so I'm like,
do it again.
Yeah, but generally, Lobby Legends push, Diablo patch, and general gameplay. But we kind of in there. But I mean, I think the main thing this week was the Lobby Legends push, right? Like Diablo came out like maybe 2 days ago, right? So it's not.
Yeah. Lobby Legends push was
most of
the
week. It was all month, really. If you're really being.
It was Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, roughly. I guess that was when it closed off.
Yeah. But yeah, I have the picture of the results. So this is a technical thing that I want to talk about. It's not relevant at all, right? But you see these images? I pulled them from the HS Esports Twitter account. These exact pictures. Look at the croppage of them. they're not even at all. I was like looking at these pictures. I was like, come on, whoever's running that account, like, please just.
I guess they're missing the top part.
Yeah, they are. They're a little bit more uniform, please. Like I can't use these. I mean, I could, but I just wanted to.
You did.
I did.
Yeah.
But I'm using them to make a point because normally I wouldn't use these, but. I was just like, just a little bit more. Make sure you're using the same angle or placement when you're making these crops, because
take notes, Twitter guy.
Right? Take notes. But yeah, I mean, they do have the results. For a very unique situation, we both played on the same region this month.
Yep.
which is pretty rare. We haven't done that before, so kind of interesting. I remember at the end, you're like, oh, I don't want to cue it to Shady. We had a game together where
Yep.
I was like AFK, you were Brand. That I remember, like I don't remember games, but I remember that game, right? Because I was like, oh,
I
Shady's.
remember that game as well. Collins, the only AFK player in the fucking world that gets a 6-drop. You know?
Yeah, I
Why
mean,
don't you play normal? Why don't you get some deflectos and stay on tier 4
oh
like every
no, no,
other
no,
AFK?
no,
Like,
no, no.
oh, I get busters and whatever it is.
I, the hero is just a avenue, a drive by for my sixes. You know, it doesn't matter what hero I'm
That,
playing.
that's such Collins. That's true. That is true though. I was fully expecting it. You know, like I was fully expecting a Buster comp because first of all, you love playing that shit. And second of all, you don't like playing mid range things. So yeah, it was not a hard call to know that you were busting. So.
But yeah, I mean, I won that game too, so I
Yeah,
felt
I'm happy
good.
for you.
I was so scared though. I could have died in that game. I was like, ooh.
Yeah,
I mean that is the risk of going for
the way
sixes.
how you play, you're more likely to die. I'm less likely to win. Well, depending on how I play, right? But that game, I was
Yeah.
less likely to die, but also less likely to
But
win.
I got there, you know. I was like, "Oh my god," you know. Brad Murlocs, I was scared of that
Yeah,
matchup.
I didn't have a great game. I think I had a lot of tier 4 action there, but either way, it was good enough for top 3, I believe. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. You got third.
yep. Buster, not exactly a premium matchup for Stefan.
Hey, true, true. Um,
Oh, look, one of his tokens killed my poison unit. That's
yeah,
not
yeah. Yeah, it's got to be rough at that point.
yeah. You
But
gotta have Murkai, Golden Swolfin pumping, right? And be like, hey,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
Murloc's too big, but wasn't that kind of game.
But I mean, at least my experience was a little bit rough. Uh, as it always is, though. I don't know. I don't learn, quote unquote, right? Like I keep playing when I technically shouldn't. But actually, this month I think keep playing was like the right call.
Yeah,
But
for sure.
um, in previous months I would like overplay and then lose. And both of the last 2 days I kind of started on a lose streak, right? Like, but like so 2 days before I lost 3 games in a row. So like triple eight. That's how I started the day essentially. And then the day before, like the right before the close, I also started like on like double eighth and like a fifth or
Yeah,
something.
you showed me that one, right? Like
Yeah,
3/8 in
yeah.
5 games or
And
something.
it like just imagine you're trying to climb and like your day starts out with like, oh, here's minus 300. All right, now you're
Yeah.
gonna need to climb like 500 rating, like to achieve your goal. You know, I'm just like, I was so disappointed, like in my play, because it kind of compounds at least the way I play. Like if I'm losing a game, I play worse the following game, right? And then like if I
Mhm.
lose 2 in a row, like it's obviously my fault, right? 3 in a row, like you can't really. I need to stop, right? So I just, I just stop and then I come back a little bit later and see if I can recover it. But it's always a rough one. So that was what happened. But fortunately, like after those bad games, I'm able to like recover and make it up. So it's fine, but it definitely feels really bad. I felt there was one point where I felt like I screwed it up. Like I'm out, you know. But I have that feeling like every month, so I keep pushing
Yeah.
past it, and it ends up being fine. But ooh, I feel bad every time. Um, but overall, um, it was a little bit weird because the Tuesday when it closed, I couldn't actually play much. I was busy. I had to leave the house and whatnot. So I ended up staying or playing through the night. So I played like till like 4 a.m. To try to get a better position. And I ended up like where I started in the in the beginning of the day. Right. So like I played for like 7 hours to gain like +4 MMR, you know, essentially. And it's just like, what am I doing? Um, so what I did is I woke up that morning before I had to leave and I played like 2 games and I won both. And and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I'm good. Like, I woke up, I'm feeling fresh, right? And
It's funny, right? You say, "Oh, I'm good," but the way how it ended up, it
yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
like,
I thought I was good. That's true.
no.
I thought I was good. I was like rank 8 or something when I left, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that should be good, right? There's not going to be, so I ended the climb specific, like, strategically. I thought where there's like a huge gap between 8 and 7, right? So there was like 150 200 mmr gap. So essentially, to pass, um, to become rank 7, if you're rank 8, you have to like win 3 games in a row, and it's the last day. And I really thought, like, no one's going to put in that effort to, like, oh, I'm rank 7, let me risk my MMR, where if I lose once, I'm basically out of Lobby Legends, and play 3 games in a row just to like climb an extra rating. I thought that was like very unlikely, so I ended like at the top of um the cliff. There's a cliff to Netflix. I ended like
Yeah,
right at the top.
yeah, exactly.
Um, but NA players, man, they are crazy. They really are. And my ranking ended up not being as safe as I thought. I thought I was good. I really did. And
Yeah,
as I
it looked
watched, I was like, huh, heck wait. Like as I watched, but I really couldn't play
good.
at that point. Right, it was too late for me. I knew I was tired. I knew I wouldn't be playing well. And if I lose
Yeah,
one game,
it's,
I'm out. Right, so it just didn't make sense at that point to try. So I just kind of sat there. But I was watching Shady play, and you can kind of talk about how you're.
oh, yeah, it was overall there were just so many people playing, and this was my first time competing for a spot after a reset. Last time the reset happened, I wasn't competing for a spot because I had a week where I couldn't play and I just wasn't good enough either at that stage. But now, something that I had underestimated is just how little inflation there was and how easy it was to climb, where you're not taking your minus 140 for an eighth yet, and you're not getting your low 50s. You're getting like 70 points for win sometimes
Yeah.
more if you're getting a good lobby. So like people climbed 600 points on the last day, and it was like,
Yeah,
holy shit.
Zoe and you climbed like 700, 800
Yeah.
MMR that last day. Like, just like,
And that is almost impossible when there's heavy inflation going on. Like adding 700-800 is just not going to happen with heavy inflation. We're talking once we're pushing the 14 15 Ks and everyone else is just falling behind. Like, it's really tough to be like, you know what, I'm 14 and a half, let's just get 15 today. Like, you're winning every single game and you're gaining like in the low 50s, low 60s
right.
max, right? So that's a lot of first places in a row. But anyways, the lobby quality was very high as well. So you were fighting
Yeah,
other strong players, other high
that's
ranked
the
players.
NA. That's welcome to NA, baby. That's NA for you right there at the end of the season. It's
I'm not gonna, I feel like I have a lot of logic here where I could say like, well, it's the first month and this and that, but it's the first time I play on an A, and like I'd be like, all right, Collins.
I really wanted to, like, as soon as the thing was over, I was like, my first instinct was like, oh man, Shady, oh no. Second one was like, welcome to NA.
Bitch.
That's right.
But
I decided not to do that. But
no. But honestly, so let's first say I ended up, like before, because we were talking a little bit, I ended rank 17, and I think I have 18 less points than Collis, who is rank 14, 15, or whatever, right? You rank 14, I'm rank 17, and it's like 18 less points or something close to that.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous, right? We're talking barely double digits of points, which is pretty much meaningless.
I'm quite ahead, actually. I'm a lot of ranks above you, Shady.
Barely double digit difference, which is just, normally when we're talking between 16, 17, triple digits usually, right?
Yeah.
And then sometimes several hundred, because there is this chasm where people, they've made it over the the hump. They're now top 16 and they're chilling a bit more. And then everyone below that, they're just trying, they're pushing, but it is usually like 200, 300, 400 points between that rank 16 and 17 slot. But like, I'm just gonna list some names of the top 25. There's people that didn't make it. We have Lee at 11,000. We have Bofer at 11.2. We have Saf at 11.3, who got just super wrecked by just shutter walks. Basically, that's another thing. If you want to whine about something, I feel like damage cap was introduced because of Shudderwalk. That's how bad Shudderwalk is. Yeah. And he's back to being nasty because now tiering to 5 is basically free for a Shudderwalk. Be like, ooh, it's it doesn't cost 11, easy. So I don't need Swabbies to break this. Holy shit! I'm just gonna level twice in one turn. So yeah, Shudderwalk is very, very nasty. So especially if damage cap is off and you're fighting a Shudderwalk, like, you can just be instantly out.
It's definitely a weirdly designed hero because it's
as long as alley cat.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, some games, even without an alley cat,
you just you don't even need it.
Shell collectors and swabbies, it's still just nutty. So yeah. Anyways, I digress. We have Wu Legend at 11.4, and then Aw Dragon, rank 18, 11.5, was top 16 also the whole time, was camping, sitting high and dry. I feel like he got a little nervous near the end. He started playing when there wasn't really that much threat yet, but he was like, he felt it coming, and he was correct, right? There was a storm brewing because everyone was knocking at the door. Everyone wanted in the top 16. And I was also top 16 for quite a while. I'm going to have to take one moment to go to the door calls, but you can sort of take over a little bit. I'll be right back.
He was top 16 for quite a while. He was really pushing it. I mean, both of us, we were trying to get to a position where we felt comfortable, but really, this NA qualifying was not, unless you were like above 13K, you really couldn't feel comfortable. Like, everyone else was really pushing at you. It was so weird when you look at the people that are qualified. I felt like every player in the NA really deserved it and wanted to make it. So it felt so weird, kind of rooting for everybody, but it definitely was a difficult one, right? Like, compared to the other two regions, I feel like there's definitely more recognizable names, and maybe it's just because I'm an NA bias here, but I don't know. I really I know everyone essentially in the list in top 16, right? Like, I feel like they're all players that qualified before, except for maybe Yellow. I think Yellow is a new one, but pretty much everyone else, like, they're top tier players that have qualified before. So it's pretty cool to see all of that.
Yeah, it was, that's immediately also what I said after. But anyways, like, I feel like I haven't even explained exactly what happened. I know. Yeah. It's because it was such a cool push. So I guess I was saying that the night before, because I play in my mornings, and my mornings is late night NA, which is perfect, so that I could wake up the 1st, and then it's still the 31st for NA. So I'm playing my morning, a few hours before ladder closes. So I started playing at roughly 5 a.m. and the ladder closes at 9 a.m. for me. So it was 4 hours. When I logged off the day before, I was quite comfortable, decent spot, but because of there's not that high inflation yet, people were able to climb 600 points out of nowhere. That is really hard to do very late in a ladder season. So my place was definitely under attack, and I woke up being ranked 17. So I was like, all right, let's get to work. I logged on, I got a first place. All right, cool, that should do it. So I was like, all right, back solidly in
that
the
might have
top.
been where we went wrong, right? Like, maybe.
Yes and no. I feel like overall, anyways, we got a first place. I took a 1 game break, and then we just saw how much people were pushing. I went instantly back on an A, started playing, started pushing. It was going okay, and then suddenly Bob is like, "Hey, your best hero is an Alex. Have some fun." We damage controlled that down to like a 6 or a 5.5. I don't even know. And then I just went back onto my, I played Patchwork. I played Alex. I feel like Cookie was my best hero that session that was offered. I played Phelan, which I really don't like. But with my tried and tested, if nothing else works, Force Beast strategy, I got a lot of, top 2s, top 3s, good MMR. Played some brands, some tier 4 stuff. Overall, I'm pretty proud at how I played it, because I feel like I didn't get very many easy games. I got a Lich King game where I had to play Hoggers, but we made it work. We played Hoggers and got some Leroy Reborn in there. And in the end, it looked like we were good. I was ranked 15 with
I
15
was watching.
minutes.
Yeah.
I think almost everyone watching was like, "Oh, this is good. We got it."
We're
So
done. Yeah.
it's 15 minutes left on the clock, and we're ranked 15, and the points are doing okay. And then 2 minutes are left on the clock. I drop to 16, boom, down to 17. 2 people jump over me and take it, and bam, just like that, we're out of the running with no chance to defend it, of course, because you got 2 minutes left. You're not going to be able to gain any more in that time. So it was really cool to play that, and I feel like I did deny myself that spot by streaming it. If I hadn't streamed it,
yeah, right, because they wouldn't know.
Yeah,
They wouldn't.
They would not have queued, probably.
Yeah, that's true.
Or they would have had to gamble a bit more. There would have been a bit more stress, this and that. Yeah. So, but it was so epic that I really wanted to share that with my viewers, and I don't regret that at all. That's a choice I made, and I would do it over again. Just next time, I would say, especially when it's fresh off a reset, is to say, it needs to be beyond contest.
Yeah.
You got to be like top 3, top 5, just beyond contest. Had to be Jeeve, had to be Beater. Otherwise, just don't stop playing.
Yeah, those are like the only 2 people that really could just like sit there and like watch everyone. Everyone else is kind of like,
Well, I think once you were past that gap where it was 12K,
that gap that I stopped at.
That was relatively safe, I would say.
Usually, sometimes there's like a gap, right? Because like everyone is trying to overcome that one player that's near the gap. If there's like a 200, 300 gap between a placement, what happens is all the players will try to overcome the guy in front of the gap.
Why not?
And that's what happened to me, right? Like I mean, I did the same thing. Like I jumped in front of the gap, and then like I wake up and like there's like 3 people that jumped me. I was like, oh, okay, I'm not that safe. I'm not in contention, right? And that's scary, because if you're under that means everyone else is shooting to pass you, right? So it means you're not
benchmark
safe.
All of a sudden.
So if you really want to be safe, you want to jump over the cliff. You want to scale that cliff and then be like right at the bottom of the cliff. That's where you're feeling comfortable, right? Because who wants to put in that extra effort, the 3-4 games like while in the cliff, when if you mess up once, then you're out. So that's where you feel safe. But usually,
sorry.
Usually you want to be right on top of that benchmark or so.
The sad part for me is that I feel like this was a meta where I was good enough that I would have just kept winning if I would just
I
feel like I would have been one of the 12K guys if I just kept queuing. But it was a combination with people telling me like, "Oh, Sleepy can't play." Sleepy
they lied.
Sleepy couldn't play against 600. Because if Sleepy doesn't play, I'm in, right? But anyways, like I always think it's very, very important that you take full responsibility there, right? Like information was presented to me, and I made a decision. There you go, right? Like that was my call. So next time we'll just ignore rumors, this and that, and we'll just play, because this was also a learning experience for me where, if it wasn't possible to gain 600-700 in a day, then we would have also been very safe. I would have had more than enough time to defend that position. And it was just a really, really epic, fun experience. Like, it was probably the most fun I've had playing to qualify so far. I've qualified for 2 qualifiers, I guess, or I've had a finish which allowed me to play in 2 qualifiers. First time around, did not have to play at all. Second time around, I was so safe that it wasn't even, I wasn't even watching. I just went to bed and be like, yep. I didn't even stay up. I was like, I'm just going to bed, guys. I'll be qualified in the morning, no problem.
Huh. None
Sorry?
of my qualifiers are fun.
None of your, your finishing.
None of them,
right?
yeah. I think there was 1 month where I was good enough where I could just sit. I think that was 1 month where I could
That's
sit.
the one where I was sweating, right? That's the one you were on call with me. I remember you making that thing with like the camp.
Yeah.
and the punk ass on my side.
Yeah, that's true. That one was okay. But the other 3 have been like, oh my god, every month like I'm struggling here. But I get there at the end, so at least there's a bit of like, okay, at least I did it, but it's not fun. I wouldn't call it a fun experience for me. So yeah.
I guess for me it was like I just was able to be okay with the outcome no matter what, and I was then able to enjoy the process instead of being. I've had it where I felt the need to win, like, oh, I have to do this, otherwise, like this bad thing is gonna happen, or I'm gonna feel ashamed, or this or that, or I don't know what happens in your head, right, when you start getting that pressure. We're like, okay, I gotta do this, because I noticed I was being like, I was just like a little stressed, or I was like, holy shit. And I was like, all right, you got to sit down and relax, and like you're gonna do the best you can, and then if you qualify, you qualify, and if not, you don't qualify. But I also wanted to make it a point to say, like, I am trying, right? It's not like I say, oh, it doesn't matter, I wasn't trying, it was just, I could have gotten up an hour earlier, man, if I was really trying. But like, no. I did my best. I thought I was gonna get there, and in the end I didn't. Anyways, like, we don't need to like stretch it too much. I just wanted to TLDR that this was an epic fight for the top 16 on an A this month, and I was happy to be part of that fight. And like, if very unlikely somebody can't make it to the event, it'll go to number 17, which is then me. So
there is a small chance that someone doesn't accept.
A very small, but
it's hard because this is the reset month, right? So like everyone who's pushing wants to participate most likely, so it's going to be hard to have someone who's like, I don't actually, I just wanted to qualify, like I didn't want to play. Like, it's like not like
it's more that the let's say the Lobby Legends data and the qualifier data gets released, and they're like, crap, that's my sister's wedding. I can't make it.
That would be the case. Yeah,
that would have to happen. So I'm not counting on it, but just for the future, if you hear me like, oh, we played a qualifier together, wait, I thought you weren't qualified, then that's what happened. Anyways, we can move on, but that was definitely the highlight of the week for me. Was a very fun few hours.
Side note, I was watching Sunglish try to make it in EU, and I was like really rooting for her, but it's so hard to qualify. Like, it is very difficult, right?
But it's all EU players, Collins. Why didn't she just win every lobby? It was all EU players.
You're right. I don't have an answer. To be fair, like the difficulty in EU is not that the players are bad. It's just that there are more casual players in EU. So when you queue up, there's a higher chance you get, someone just casually playing compared to NA, where there are some days in NA where there's always a top 16 player in my lobby every game, and it's like, I'm like, please get out of my games. Like, I don't want to fight y'all every game. Like, it's so annoying. When EU you can get a couple of games where you're not fighting like Sungler, SQN, Zorg, and where it's just like, and it's annoying too, because if you get into, like, let's say, for example, like dogs in your lobby, right? He gets top 2, you get top 1 or whatever. Then they queue again, and then it's the dog again. It's just like he's in my next game too, and unless one of us like bottom 8s, he's gonna be in my next game, right? Because if we keep like top 3ing together, they're just gonna still be in my games, so I'll have a day where I'm just fighting like the same guy like 4 times, because we keep top 2ing. And then they queue again, and then they're in my next game, and then they queue again, and I'm just like, I'm like, should I stop? Just let them queue, but I'm just like, I'm streaming. I don't care that much, but
we
it does
definitely
get
had that
annoying.
going on where Saf, Mr. Incredible, and myself were like, all right, you go, and then I'll queue, and then the other person goes. I definitely had that back and forth with Saf. I was like, well, can you get in a game already? Because I want to queue here, man. So, and then Collins was online as well. Everyone was playing, so
Yeah.
it does help if you have people on your friend list where you can actually, if you don't want to play against them. I try to not queue against other people just because it feels a little bit like sniping when they're on your friend list and you're like, I'm gonna like get in their game. Especially if like if you have someone who's significally higher more than you can try to, like get a really
Still
juicy
their
lobby.
MMR. That's messed up.
Try to high roll there, get like, that plus
Dude,
80
oh
points
my god,
for her?
that one game where you're trying to kill Dragon, I was so I was like, don't do it. Like, why would you?
No, I mean, okay, yeah, we could specifically say it. So someone left, but on like in the middle of the turn or something, like something
they
happened
left in
where
the middle of the turn or something.
yeah, so damage cap was still on, but I didn't realize that. So I'm playing Fail, and I'm like, all right, I'm about to go to 6. I see that my next opponent is Dragon. All right, change of plans. I'm burning this 18 gold on tier 5 rolling for beasts. And I think it's the right play overall, even. I think in that lobby,
you looked a lot stronger that
going
turn.
to 6 was kind of just like dumb. Like, I get it in Mama. Who the fuck, who cares? Like, I'm playing Beast anyway, right? Like, so spending the money going to tier 6, while I probably could have gotten away with it, would have just been dumb, right? Like, hard rolling for Beast was a play anyway. But it was funny in a moment. It's like, oh, we're changing the plans, boys. All in against Dragon. Let's try to kill him. Because Dragon was my direct competition outside of the top 16. Dragon was pretty much right behind me. I was 17, he was 18, and if he would get a top 7 there, he'd be out. So he wouldn't be able to play anymore. Which is once again, part of that cool thing where it almost felt a bit more like a tournament environment where you're making some tempo plays in places where you normally might not. Once again, I think it was a correct play overall, whether I'm playing Dragon or not.
It was the correct play, but it felt so wrong watching it. I was just like, come on, Shady, why you have to do him like that? Just go kill him.
Well, is it not worse to say, oh, it's only Dragon? I can go to 6 here. I mean, what's Dragon gonna have on his board that I can't go to 6? Like, let's be honest. So I feel like you give people the respect.
I know.
You play against Dragon.
Maybe I don't want the respect.
Take one
Don't stay on 5 just to kill me, please. Is what I'm saying. I wouldn't appreciate it. Disrespect
in that
me,
position, sure, but I remember that game. I just had Nest Matron money, so I just had options to do things. So, anyways, like lots of cool fun. The VOD is available, so if you want to relive that, if you want to see what happened, you can just go to Twitch, go to my channel, and it's the VOD of the first of June.
Yep,
that's gonna have the first 4 hours roughly is gonna have that push. So good stuff over there.
And I just wanted to put the dates right. So the June 20th, that's going to be the qualifiers, right? The 48th, and then July 9th will be the finals. July 9th is the top 16, and July 10th will be the top 8 finals. We'll see if we want to do what we did last Lobby Legends. If I don't make it to the co-cast it. I forgot what the name of it. That kind of thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. If you're not in, then we can do it
I'll
together.
try to do it so we don't have to co-cast.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just be considerate, man. Those things take forever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And we also got the dates for the next Lobby Legends. So I think this confirms it that this month is also a qualifying period because there should be a
Yeah.
month or two that isn't, right? So having the qualifiers be on August means that this month is also a qualifying period. So if you do want to climb this month to participate, you can definitely can. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, just a little bit more information for those that are interested. Just the dates there. Moving on, I think the next topic we have, yes, is Tice's Hearthstone Tavern discussion. So he revealed very recently that he's going to be having a Hearthstone competition at TwitchCon in Amsterdam on July 16th with constructed and, more interestingly, for some, Battlegrounds formats. So there will be some Battlegrounds in TwitchCon for Amsterdam, and that's pretty cool. Mostly EU players, right? There's usually a TwitchCon in EU and NA. This is the EU one, so you know, I mean, not, some NA players, people are probably going to go, but mostly EU people have a more of an incentive, right? Because it's closer and everything. So, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, really, just awesome to see the just the initiative, right? I saw Dice tweet out a while back. It's like, hey, BG people, would you like to play a tournament? And I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. So
Yeah, of
I
course.
felt,
I don't. Yeah, don't.
something was in the works, and now we see it. Where it's obviously, like probably the main part is constructed. Although
No. The
I
main
think that
part, the draw is Battlegrounds. Let's be honest.
sure, let's do it. But I mean, the prize money is 50-50, right? I think
Yeah,
that says it all, right? Like it's a 40K tournament where 20K constructed, 20K BG. So that is substantial. That is significant. So very, yeah, really cool to see that. It's gonna be fun. The top eight is gonna play in, or maybe not, right? Let me see. The finals.
I think so. I think it is top
Yeah,
eight
yeah.
for
The
both.
finals is in the is in TwitchCon itself. So that's going to be an offline part. So yeah, that should be super awesome to watch. And I think the one thing for offline stuff is the realization to me was when I was looking at DreamHack stuff. I was like, ooh, you have to play on a tablet or what? So that's like tablet or laptop or whatever. But that's a price we're willing to pay. Where that is that's probably still cooler because I do have that. I don't know, those childhood memories of just going out to offline tournaments and seeing people and in real life, pre-COVID, shaking my opponent's hand, all that
Oh,
stuff.
what is that?
What?
What is that? Shaking your hand in the coat?
Shaking, but yeah, it's like taboo now, right? You don't shake hands anymore, right? But that's it was really, really cool. And then you see your friends, and then in between the rounds, you'd be like, "Oh, how are you doing? How are you doing?" Right? This is a little different, right? Because it would be a top eight already, but still have this thing that I want to do sometimes, where like this 160 player tournament, and you have a bunch of rounds, and you just go there with a friend, and just catch up after every round,
Sounds
etc.
good. Let's do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun. So this is at least that's part of it where you get to play it offline, which is not easy these days, right? After with COVID, it's a lot of restrictions, etc. So yeah. Anyways, super cool. Really happy that Tice is putting so much time and effort in that to bring a tournament to the BG scene or another tournament.
Yeah, it should be fun, even if you're not playing, just to watch it. So if you're interested in Battlegrounds, which you should be because you're here, there's gonna be another tournament. It's gonna be fun. A lot of good players, I'm assuming, and whatnot. So yeah, pretty cool initiative. Always good to see, right? We do need more like big Hearthstone tournaments, right? Because there's a lot of like small, like community run tournaments, right? But I assume this is like TwitchCon's involved, right? Like Blizzard's probably involved and all that stuff. So it's pretty big. So we love to see that. Next topic. What is our topic? Oh, right. Of course. The patch. Right. There's a patch. We've been talking about like random stuff, but this is actually like the important thing, like quote
Wait, we
unquote.
talk about the game? We talk about the game here? That's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a patch 23.4, Diablo's Return. That's the name of this movie of the patch. I felt it made sense, right? But yeah, I mean, there are other things in the patch besides Diablo, but I do think Diablo is like the
Sets the tone.
more, yeah, sets the tone of this patch. And it came out 2 days ago, I believe. So we've kind of played a little bit on the patch already, but we can kind of jump right in and kind of start talking about what's inside the patch and whatnot. So yeah, take a look at this. Battlegrounds updates. First one is new hero, Ozo Mat, armor tier 4. So this is a colossal unit and constructed, I believe. But passive tentacular. Tentacular.
Tentacular instead of spectacular. Tentacular.
Tentacular. Oh. I want to say tentacle. And so I put tenta and then cular.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anyone say it. I just assumed it would be tentacular.
Tentacular. Yeah, it sounds way better with your wording. But I really wanted to put tentacle in there, so I was forcing it. But you're right. Tentacular, yeah, sure. Passive, start of combat, summon a 2/2 tentacle with taunt. Upgrades after you sell a minion. This is a pretty interesting passive. So it's a 2/2 tentacle with taunt, essentially. But then it gets... Yeah, I played it once. But then every time you sell a minion, it gets a little bit stronger.
Yeah,
so,
+1/+1 increments.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like Curator. Curator and Azoth kind of getting an extra minion at the start of your turn, and then you can use that extra minion for more value later on in the game, essentially.
Not really value, right? Where you can't sell it, but like tempo, I guess.
You can sell, you can technically sell it, and like it disappears if you have a full board.
But you don't get a gold for it, right? Like I mean, Curator's minion, I sell that sucker so often. So
you don't get a gold, but you get, in place of a gold, you get the option of always having it back on your board.
Yeah. No, it's I like it. I like it a lot more than Curator. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying you can't sell this thing for. I guess maybe
it doesn't
we have
give you a gold, but you get options. Shady.
Yeah, you get options. You get a lot of flexibility. You'd be like, do I want a giant ass taunt? Do I want to play a Leroy?
And options is value, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's how I look at it. So, it gives you value in that way. I've played with it once. I used it for tempo, and then I stopped playing with it. I just played a different comp. It's funny, right? Because it was like a 30-30, and I'm just like, I don't want it. Just I'm not playing with that.
When you are playing as this hero, there is this giant ass sign, be like, purchase a Leroy, put it in position 1, slam it into the taunt. So it is a little predictable.
And you can't it's annoying because you can see exactly the stats of this thing. You see exactly, it just tells you, look at the guys he has a 10.
You can hover how much.
Yeah.
I haven't even done that yet.
I think that's so broken because I'm just he's going to have a 10-10. Let me just make an 11-11 cleave. I've done that. It's just so mean.
It'd be funny if then last second he's like, sell 2 more cards, you sucker.
Well, they don't. Well, I check, right? I'm checking. Okay, well.
Sure. No, that is cool info. I have not done that yet. I have not specifically countered the amount of stats my opponent.
It's so annoying because he has a 10-10. Let me just put. I was playing a shaker comp. Right, and he had a 7-7 taunt. I put my 7-9 shaker or 7-11 shaker in the front. I'm just yep, bam, free kill. So I think there's some weaknesses with how it's designed, especially knowing exactly what stats this taunt has. If you hover it's a little too easy to be I'll just free kill it. If you're doing well, right? But it is a free minion. Essentially, if you don't have a full board, but in the late game when everyone has a full board, it loses a lot of its charm, I think. But you still have the option, especially if you're playing comps that sell a lot, like Hogger and stuff. You can make a really big one. But it is an interesting design. I would say of a hero. I haven't seen something like this.
I actually think this is a really good hero right now. For the Diablo meta,
I would
think
like it better if it popped up like a Diablo. You know how if you have a full board with Diablo,
be a little too good. Then,
I know. I know.
You can't just be like, and now for my 8th minion, a 50-50 taunt.
I know.
This isn't even my final form.
Is that? I know it's too good. Right? I agree.
Yeah. I really like it right now because I'm so healthy in the early game. Like I think I went like 3-on-3 in one game and I was like 41 health. I was like, what's going on? This is like that extra tentacle. This helped out a lot. So preserve a lot of HP and decent tempo. And then I get to do whatever, right? You don't have to play around with tentacle.
You don't have to play with the card.
I do think that once Diablo is out and we go back to the greedier meta, where we start, going for Dark Gaze Elders and all that stuff, we try to triple into Eliza's a bit more, then yeah, this thing falls off because it doesn't give you extra money. It doesn't make it cheaper to buy minions, and overall, it's just it's a bit more like Curator at that point. But I think as long as we're in a tempo-heavy meta, I like this guy quite a bit. Like I don't think I've had a bad game with him yet.
Yeah, I mean,
I played like 3 or 4 games or so.
I don't like him because he's a tempo hero, and that's not me.
Yeah,
I played him and he was fine, but I don't like him. But yeah, I think he's playable. But is he something I would personally recommend for myself? No. But would I recommend to play it? Probably. If that makes sense. So interesting hero. Definitely unique design, I guess.
The tentacle is a beast. Works with hyena. Yeah, I had 2 hyenas on my board. So you have a taunted beast. So hyena is a really nice early game minion as well. I played Goldrim. I played Goldrim with this. So the tentacle got boosted if I go first.
I was playing beast and I didn't play it. I could have had a 30-30 taunt with a Goldrim.
Taunted beast.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. Huh. Okay. I just thought it was not a minion type.
Yeah, so it has a tribe, or it has a type. That is definitely
that's very important. Yeah, You like in buddy meta really showcased like how important having types on your heroes were.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
you have what was like one of the better types to buff. Just like getting Zephyrus, like it being an elemental.
That was exactly the one I was thinking.
I have a golden light fang. Oh, there's an elemental on my board. Oh, that's very useful. It's a golden Mithrax. Oh, that's very good.
Sometimes I'd keep the Finley buddy because it was a beast, and I like triple into a golden. What's it called? The 4/5. The croc. I triple into a croc.
Oh, right. Yeah,
and I would just have the Finley 1/1 buddy, just like as the target, and just have like a 30-30 Finley buddy.
5 for 2 hits, little guy, and you'll get a lot stronger. Yeah. Or you have an acolyte or whatever.
Yeah, it's so silly, right? Just out of nowhere.
That can make or break a card if it has a type or not. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, new minion Bubblette.
Yes. You have anything
I've never bought this minion.
No. This honestly, and please let us know if I'm wrong about this, but this really feels like, hey, we made a minion for Constructed. Let's put it in BGs. Let's see what it does. It's so unexciting. If you look at every other 1-drop, it serves a purpose where you have like Demons for the Weaver early, Sally for economy, the 1/4 for the reroll. You have the Murloc synergy. This thing is okay. So first of all, let's describe it. Right, it's a 2/5 for 1 for tier 1.
Wow, so that's a 2/5 tier 1. That's a 2-drop.
That's a strong stat line. Although still just ties to a mini Myrmidon. Right? It's like just shows like mini Myrmidon. But then this thing also just outright dies if it gets hit by 1 damage. This thing goes into an Icky Imp, you're taking 3 damage on turn 1. That's so dumb, right?
Goes into an
Yeah,
alley cat.
yeah, it goes into an alley cat. You're taking 2 damage on tier 1. I killed one earlier with a stupid anomaly on my board. It's yes. So this card feels like just pure trash because there is
I,
almost no upside.
There's another thing about this card I don't understand. The golden version makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. Like, what? If after this minion takes exactly 2 damage destroyed, how is that a better version of the card? It's not. Like, their 2 damage is not hard to implement.
Well, ghoul and tokens. So I
Sure,
would prefer to die to 2 than to 1. Though.
but it's not better in that you can have a board where you would prefer the non-golden version over the golden version, you know, and
Yeah, but
that's so
you
weird of a card
have to
design.
think of averages. On average, it's going to be easier to deal 1. Like every token,
You're
not
not gonna
every
care
most
about
tokens.
averages when you lose because you golden this sucker.
Yeah, but then don't buy it. Don't buy it. Don't buy this card, right? You shouldn't.
But
It
that's
shouldn't be golden. And
but
anyway,
why
if you're
isn't it
playing
like
Nomi, don't
if
buff
this
it. Don't
minion
keep it.
takes exactly 1 damage twice? Why isn't that the golden version? Right? Then you remove the
Right.
that would
That
just
might be a
remove the.
little too
That would be
difficult.
too
though.
strong. That's not.
No, too difficult to code or whatever to show.
How
or,
is that an excuse?
No, okay. Okay, so but then you need to have a little counter in the middle of the combat to be like, oh, this has got hit 1 time, and then you need to keep
whatever.
there can be like 4 different bubble guys on the board, and you need to keep track.
If
The
the
one
coding is weird, then don't make the card. Like
I agree. I agree. Don't put this shit in Battlegrounds. This really feels like, hey, this is something we did for constructed. Let's put it in BGs. You know, it's be like, no, please. God, I hate that this is now part of my cookie discover pool on tier 1.
It feels like you're just diluting the 1-drops, and we just need to put something to dilute the 1-drops because 1-drops are too strong because Shutterwalk's in the game. Like, so let's dilute the 1-drop pool because of Shutterwalk. So let's put this trash in there. I don't see the benefit of this card. It doesn't do anything for one. Like there are some really cool 1-drops. Well, you can like play it in a late game. It has like value. It's like very cool. Like, oh, you can interact with this. Like you can run Trickster. You can run Scabs, right? And real comps that actually work running 1-drops. It feels like this doesn't really have a place. Like it just kind of.
You can scale most 1-drops. You do not want to scale this ever because it's just so vulnerable. And the extra stats are completely wasted once you start scaling something. You don't care if it started as a 2/5 or as like a 2/3. You know, you have a rock pool. Like, do you really want to risk your 40/40 rock pool dying to a 1/1 because it started with 2 extra health? But no, you don't give a shit. You do not give a shit. You don't want to scale this ever, right?
Yeah.
And like your opponent ghouls you, bam, dead, right? Like if 2 of these suckers get ghouled, bam. Like you're playing Nomi, you end on 2 of these things. Imagine 2 of these guys with like 40/40 ghoul, bam, both dead. You know, it's like awful. So it feels so annoying that you buy this when there's 2 red whelps in the shop. That's the only time I've really bought it. Those 2 red whelps in the shop. Like, sure, I'll put
this card.
I was just like,
I mean, if I'm playing Nomi, right? But that's it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you can cycle it with a reroll guy and then just sell it at the end of the turn, or hope, for 1 turn that it leaves, it's on your board. But it's overall, I'm just not happy with this at all. It's just it feels out of place. I guess that's the best way.
It doesn't serve a point.
Incredibly out of place. It does not feel BG like at all.
Don't like this card. Anyways, moving on. Diablo Returns. Oh, they put Diablo Returns in there. I didn't read that when I made my patch notes title. But yeah, sure. Diablo Armor Tier 1, so it has no armor. Realm of Terror, every 4 turns, all enemies fight the Lord of Terror and your lore band for loot. There's a bit of nerfs with it. It's returning for 1 week, so that's interesting. As a special celebration, I think you said it's because of Diablo Immortals, right? Like that's why.
That is the I would say that is the general perception of this. That this is, hey, Diablo Immortal got released. Oh, hey, we're getting Diablo in Battlegrounds for a week now. So yeah, I think that is.
Yeah, I mean it says promotional hero right there, right? So
Yeah, it's hard to not make that assumption. And indeed, they do say it's a promotional hero. So yeah, they just kind of. It's not like that is like a
It's
dirty thing. Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
a
yeah.
company promoting something unheard of, right? But it does feel a bit annoying because Diablo overall was perceived to be an unenjoyable experience by I feel like the majority of the player base. Where we went back and forth, well, not back and forth, but we talked about like, oh, Diablo was really weak, and we were talking like, you guys don't know what you're asking for. Please don't ask me to buff this shit.
Yeah,
Because
we were really accurate with this one.
yeah, we just like if you buff Diablo, it just means that if a Diablo has an above average game, everyone is gonna suffer. And look what happened. They buff Diablo, and Diablo gets one little teensy tiny Hydra, bam, 15 damage Wind Fury Cleave on turn 8. You take 15. So yeah, that was not something most people were enjoying. And now he's back, but as Colin said, there were some adjustments. So let's go over the nerfs. He's not as strong as before.
I actually don't remember what the initial card values were, and I do think that's weird that they don't. Sometimes when they change things, they don't put what it was before.
Oh right, yeah,
right. Because I don't remember what it was before. Like, was it like deal damage to 4? I don't remember.
That is a good question. What is the second tier now? Maybe
deal 3 to 3.
Deal 3 to 3. Was it ever like deal 2 for the first one? Maybe deal 2 and then
maybe 4? Right? Yeah, but I don't remember. Right, and they don't tell us. Yeah. Right, I'd have to go back and like look at the actual pre-nerfed ones.
We were professionals; we would have that ready.
Yeah, hey, dude, I make the topics, and it takes a long time.
I would do it then. I would do it. I would have the facts then.
Yeah, but yeah, they did. I don't remember what the old ones were, but the new one is deal 1 to 3, deal 3 to 3, and then deal 9 to 3. And then if you're making it to tier 16, you don't care what this gives you. You're probably top 2 already.
You don't want that one. You want the Divine Shield one anyway. Right?
Yeah. Claw of Terror is +2, +2, +6, +6, +12, +12, plus. Wait, where's the golden one? Where's the unique? Is it just the same as previously?
I feel like I guess it's 24, 24. Maybe that one isn't.
I guess.
I don't know.
Like I said, it's very weirdly presented, right? Like and it's not very clear. Where's the last one, right? Because if you're gonna put one version, you should put all 4, right? You shouldn't just like, oh, you're never getting the unique one, so we're not telling you what it is, or oh, it's the same as before, so we don't have to put it. But I don't remember what it was before. But I assume it's 24, 24.
The clause, was it like 3-3 at the start or 4-4 even? I don't know. Like, or was it 2-2? And
yeah, was it 2-2, 4-4, or was it 4-4, 8-8?
I do feel like the cleaves were bigger, so the claws that people were putting on their things may not have been 2-2, and maybe it was 3-3 or 4-4.
Yeah, maybe it was bigger. Yeah.
No.
And then the who's I believe this one was 2 attack initially. This one I do remember. Yeah, because this one was strong, right?
Yeah, we called it Savage Roar, or I called it Savage Roar. So yeah. So I guess it was 2 and 4.
2, 4, yeah. 2, 4, 8, 16, maybe. No, maybe not
16. That is a significant one, right? Taking the hoofs from 2 to 1.
From 2 to 1, yeah, it's huge. And then there's still the secret. Like, I thought these were the only ones available, right? But apparently the rest of them are also there. So you still have the Wind Fury one. You still have the
those didn't get changed.
The secret one, and there's another one, right, that we could get. Or am I missing?
Get Wind Fury, you get Divine Shield. That's a later tier one, though, right?
Yeah, Divine Shield is Divine Shield the one that replaces Wind Fury, or are they both available?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it replaces. I don't think I've had Wind Fury that late.
Right, so it replaces, yeah.
Not a Diablo main here. Oh, Reborn. Reborn's
Reborn, yeah. The Reborn is busted, right? Like with Leroy, it's so like they did not. they did not plan that interaction. They're just like, oh, let's just put the old stuff in, right? And before, like, you didn't have Leroy in the game, so it wasn't like that big of a deal.
Selfless, it was still pretty like disgusting.
But it's not this like Leroy.
Reborn Leroy. Well, if you were late game Poison War, Reborn Selfless is roughly Reborn Leroy, depending on what they have. But yeah, if your Leroys are going into Divine Shields, then yeah, absolutely, like Reborn Leroy is disgusting.
Yeah, so that one is like one of the bigger buffs. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I have a topic discussing Diablo specifically, so maybe we should just discuss Diablo now.
That's our topic now, then, right?
Yeah.
All right. How do you feel about it?
So initially, I thought I wouldn't care, cause last time I didn't really care. I remember making a post like, "Oh, Diablo wasn't too bad." Like I didn't care, but I spent the first day of this patch just playing, like not updating. Yesterday, or was it 2 days ago? I just didn't update so I just played the game on last patch, even though it updated already. I just didn't close my client the whole stream, and I just played. So
you never had Diablo in your lobby, or what?
The first day of the update.
Oh, that's OP! Don't you just get a bunch of mobile people?
I do. What? Yeah, it's so OP.
That's disgusting.
I didn't think about it until now, but that is such a broken thing to do.
So how much did you farm? How much of a farm did you get?
Just a little bit.
Mobile players these days.
To be fair, like you get less MMR. Like to be fair.
Oh yeah, like those only getting like 55 for the onslaught of first places.
But yeah, it was easier to do that. But yeah, yesterday and a little bit as well, I have played Diablo. I mean, honestly, I don't love it. I didn't think I would care, but there's a lot of things, because the lobbies are in the lobby, that you can't do, right? You can't really play super duper greedy. You can't really like do nothing for like 4 turns, right? They'll smack you hard, and you also get the there's a decent chance that you'll like fight Diablo and then fight Diablo again, essentially, right? Like that's definitely a possibility. So if you know you're going to be weaker than Diablo, you open yourself up to like an immediate Diablo fight again, and then you're dead. You know, so you do want to be in a position where you can contest Diablos.
Well, you're fighting Diablo without the Lord of Terror and probably with far fewer spells active. So potentially, even though it's a turn later, that Diablo board might be weaker than the one you faced.
Sure, but
yes,
I mean they always play their secrets. You know, so
you get the secret, probably a sigil,
and they'll use like maybe a sigil or two, right? Because they have a bunch.
And if they feel weak, a hoof or whatsoever. So yes, it's not.
I mean, you're only worried about them if they're strong, right? Like, you know, you mean like if they're weak, then you know, if you fight them twice, who cares, right? But like if you're losing hard to Diablo already, and then you're fighting them again, and you're like they had like, you know, a buster or something, and you're like, oh, I can't beat that. And then you're like, I'm fighting him again, and you know, oh, they have a buster. You know, it's like, I might already be dead, right? So you want to make sure you can at least contest the Diablo players. And they also know, right? Like, if they look at there and they're like, oh, I dealt 15 to this guy. Oh, well, you're not gonna kill him. Or it's like
you don't look through your lobby and be like minus 15 on everyone. That's not your experience.
No, that's not. Unless I'm playing Diablo Copium.
Yeah, Copium, right?
But there's some information you can gather because Diablos fight everyone, and you can rank everyone's power level compared to Diablo.
Big caveat there is I don't think it shows up when people beat Diablo.
It's only it's only +0 or something.
Yes, so
but that still tells you that they're strong enough to.
They're minimum strong enough to tie. Yes, because I saw a Shutterwalk tie and was like, that could have been 0. That could have been -28. Who knows?
Yeah. It's a Shutterwalk, so you already know it's -28. You already know it's -28, and then you just have to extrapolate from there.
Copium, right? Yeah, I had to Shutterwalk straight after. So. I was doing a little scouting. I was like, oh, that's ominous, chat. Look. So yeah, for sure. I guess my so you don't enjoy it, or do you? The change of pace where it's
not really. Nah, I enjoyed the mobile games. To be honest, that was more fun for me. Honestly, I'll be
I guess like a good way to talk about this as well is to say like, okay, so how does it impact the flow of the game? I think that something that is very noticeable in my games is that in the previous meta, the one we just had post Siren removal, I was finding great success with being a tier ahead of the curve, where I would love to be tier 4 on 7 gold. That would do really well for me, so that on 8 gold, I could then sell a card and buy 3 on tier 4, take a pit stop there, get strong, and then go tier 5 on 9 gold. But that involves throwing some rounds, and that also relies on other people leveling fairly aggressively. And you're just fighting a board of 1-drops. People are trying to triple, they're trying to hit their Dark Gaze Elder, they're trying to hit their Eliza and all that. Now that gets completely flipped upside down if you know that on turn 8 you need to be strong. Turn 8, that's the 10 gold turn, if I'm not mistaken. So you have a very specific timing, and if the entire lobby is trying to spike at that time, you going to tier 5 on 9 gold when everybody knows they got to be really strong on 10 gold.
Dude, I've done that and got punished, and I was like, Diablo's in, and I was just like, oh,
exactly. First of all, you get smacked by the person that's trying to get strong, and then you get smacked by Diablo. So that is the classic -15 that you cannot survive, right? So essentially and this is also still maybe a little outdated because I'm playing for the previous version of Diablo, the really, really strong version where some of the sigils were toned down. The Lord of Terror was, I think, a 5/5 instead of a 4/4. So I'm actually not sure about that, but whatever. Overall, he's weaker.
Might have been a 6/6. I don't know.
I'm not sure. But he's weaker overall, and I do feel that. Like I'm not always taking 15 on that turn, but back when Diablo was really OP, you would pretty much take 15 on the on turn 8, unless you were just you had a really solid comp. You were like, yes, -7 only, nice, right? Which is really dumb to say, but that. So you would play around that if you know that you're gonna. If you know that you're going to take 15 on turn 8, are you going to go to tier 5 on turn 7? Probably not, right? You're going to be on tier 4, possibly on tier 3 with a juggler. It could happen if you just keep getting good cards.
I've seen too many jugglers yesterday. I was like, stop it.
I just started off by saying, like, how does it change the flow of the game? And for me, it just feels like you first need to solve the problem of how am I going to survive? And then once you have survived, you need to solve the problem. How can I now take this random collection of garbage that I put on my board to not die and turn it into something that scales? So, and that doesn't mean you always have a random, collection of cards on your board, but it can happen.
Sometimes you buy Mama Bear, and then you're fine.
Yeah. So I think there are certain cards where if you can get them, they're like insanely good right now. Like if you can somehow triple into an Eliza, oh my god, like you win that game. Yeah, you win that game almost every time, because what does Eliza do for you? It pushes back against the tempo. You get one scallywag, like you're strong, like you can push back, and from that position you can make a tier 1 comp. You can get Baron, you can get Khadgar, and even one of the stronger Diablo boards is almost going to be no match to like a double Scally Baron, double Chad, Talbot Scallies. You just own everyone from there. So if you can get something that is high tempo that also has some direction after that, that's beautiful. So I was talking to Collins before as well. I think Ground Shaker is also amazing at doing that, because you put like 3 or 4 gems on your board, you're strong. Like you have a very high tempo mid game, And you have some late game as well. You can take the gems off the shaker, put it on a macro, put it on a deflecto, and suddenly you have some late game potential. So I've had tons of, even at first place as well, playing Shaker Comp, which is very hard to do normally to get a first place playing Shaker Comp. But I've had so many second places where usually the flow of the lobby, to me, it's something like this. You have three people who's like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to go all in. I'm going to try to get the Dark Gaze Elder. I'm going to try to get the Eliza. I'm going to, try to get Nomi and pop off. Two of them die. One of them makes it. That person wins the lobby. You have the Diablo. So that's four people. And then four people that are going hard on the tempo. That's sort of the experience that I've had in my lobbies where you've got, like a couple people that try for the high roll, a couple of people that just go for the tempo, and then the Diablo, who is sort of the enforcer of the lobby, who's going to kill the people that try to high roll and that don't hit. And then the person that high rolls wins the lobby. And then the Diablo ends up getting, either, 2, 3, or 5 or whatever around there. Sometimes they try and they fail and they get 7s, right? That happens as well. So that's just not that much fun to me. To me, it's more fun if we're all a little bit more incentivized to level, and we can play more with Bran, we can play more, with Dark Gaze Elder and Eliza and all that good stuff.
Very true. But yeah, overall, I mean, I don't mind it, right? Because once again, it's only for a week, right? So it's not like it was before. I believe Diablo was like 2 months, or was it longer? No, it was like a month. Right.
His stay was prolonged at one point.
Yeah, because I think it was 2 weeks, and then it went another 2 weeks.
It's because he was like too weak at the start, so we didn't have full dominant Diablo lobbies for that long. We had some Diablo when he was weak, and it didn't matter. But then they made him stronger, and then they said, "Oh, because he had a bad start, we're gonna keep him around longer."
Yeah, so it was like I guess 2 weeks of like actual Diablo where it felt problematic.
It could be. I'm not sure on that at all.
All right. Well, regardless, but this one's a lot less time. So even if you don't mind it, you just don't play for a week and you come back, or you fight through it depending on how you feel about it. But yeah, I mean it's like a temporary meta, right? Because this isn't gonna be the meta for Lobby Legends or anything, right? There's not too much you could learn except like play safer. This meta, which is interesting, right? Because the meta before was like play riskier, right? To get tier 6 Nagas. Now it's like, oh, play safer, to not take too much damage, so you can stabilize in top 4. So it's interesting how things can easily fluctuate within metas based on what's in and what's out and whatnot. So overall, I don't know. I guess I don't love the hero, but I mean, I don't think the hero is like a horrible hero. Right? What's your thoughts on like the hero itself now? Like, do you?
So I like, my approach is I try to avoid playing Diablo because I don't love that role myself, because I feel like it's a bit harder to win. Where you do have those turns where you are really trying to spike and deal a lot of damage to the lobby, and I feel like it's harder to actually take number one when you do that. It's like you're helping that high roller, right? It's like, oh, I'm just killing everyone here.
It's like playing Mukla in a bit, right?
I don't really know how to describe it too much, other than I just don't really enjoy it. Now, I will say that I haven't really been too upset when other people pick him, because my mindset is, I'm picking, like, when you're picking your hero, you are assuming that somebody picks Diablo.
Nope,
so you don't want to
not doing that, but I should.
All right, I should. Right. You don't want to all in on that. You don't want to be like, what, this 9 armor curator could be better than the scabs when no, let's take the scabs, right? Let's make it work. But sometimes I've played like 3 Starfang games already, whereas in the previous meta, post Siren removal, I was not playing Starfang, I can tell you that.
I've played like 0 Starfang games already.
Yeah, all those Starfang games were like really good for me.
I've also not played Patchwork.
Yeah. Patchwork is also pretty good, that's something I play because
yeah,
I play Patchwork
you
because
can feel the difference in playstyle.
it gives Patchwork is more health to roll for 7 and for roll Mama Bear. So I think if Beasts and Murlocs are in Patchwork, once again, previous meta, I think it's just good because you have more health to roll for those cards. But anyways, I also love 4-on-4 with Patchwork. It's amazing. It's so much fun.
I can see that.
Yeah, because like you're 4-on-4, you'd be like, I have 44 health left.
Yeah, you're still fine. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like you just started. So yeah, overall, I'm not the biggest fan of the hero to play it, but now that we're in this meta anyway, I don't mind it when people pick him because I feel like I've got a fairly good system at getting second places. I think getting first place, it does require a little bit more risk, and that risk is bigger, when the Diablo's in. I think that traditionally, yeah, go ahead.
No, go no finishers.
I say like traditionally playing for first always is going to require more risk than playing for second.
Right.
But if you truly understand the meta and you play it properly, you can minimize that risk and you can make really good decisions early. And you can, fairly, I had a string of 4 first places, 5 first places. Like that happens when you know a meta and you get good hero. You play like Maiev into Barov, into Zyrella, and you're just like, yeah, these are all comfort picks, and I'm not getting particularly unlucky. Like, yeah, I'm getting my first places.
Yeah,
But
also
that
happens when you're playing mobile players.
I guess you don't have that good of a take yet on this meta, right? You had a little bit of a warm up round. But yeah, so there is usually, there is some risk involved in playing for first, but I feel like Diablo will amplify that risk where, like, man, if you go for a 6 and you whiff, you're just dead, right? Whereas in the other metas, you go for a 6, you whiff, roll a little on 5, maybe get a 7, maybe get a Mama Bear stabilize. You have no time here. So there's some games where you can't really go for a 6. I would actually say in most games, unless you have a particularly good early game, it's really hard to go. Yeah, or your Collins. Collins just,
I do say, like, if you're a lobby legend players, the rules don't apply to you. Like, anytime I'm giving suggestions, like, well, Shady, you can do whatever you want. Like, it's probably fine. Like,
everything depends on the situation, your expertise, your next opponent, your last opponent, all these things you have to keep in mind.
For sure.
Your shops, right? But in general, I would say Diablo meta is not a good meta to be taking 6s.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, for sure. That's probably a good guideline for. So another thing is that I've been doing that has worked pretty well is I've been staying on tier 4 more leading up to Diablo turn. And then depending on my composition, just staying on 4 as well after, or if I'm strong enough and I'm playing something that, needs a brand, go to 5 eventually. I think something like a Millhouse on tier 4 when like Peggy's and Domo is in is probably pretty good as well. Because Millhouse can then get pretty decent tempo, just cycling jugs. And you can just roll for, those Peggy's and those Domos, and you can just get something going that is strong enough, but that also has a future. And then, you can add Master of Realities later, you can add Hogger later, etc., and then it gets becomes a proper build. So I think heroes and strategies that can do well enough on tier 4 are pretty good in this environment.
Yeah, I also think Diablo is like a little bit too weak right now, because anytime I'm playing Diablo, right, I don't feel the Diablo thematic, the lore of Diablo. It's like, oh yeah, I'm a king or demon or whatever.
Any buffs that you have a suggestion here, Collins?
Any buffs? Like, I'd probably make the demon bigger. They also did something crazy. You get 2 treasures if you beat the Diablo. I'd probably tone that down to 1.
So the one,
right? Yeah, like it's a little too good for your opponents, right? I'm the one playing the hero. Why are you guys getting the rewards? Probably tame that. Some of the sigils also are a little bit too weak. I'd probably buff those up a little bit, just so maybe 2 damage or 2 attack buffs, something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, we could look at that. That could create that might warp the whole meta around this hero.
I don't think so, right? Like, it's only one player that gets this hero, right? So it's not gonna warp the whole thing, right? Like, maybe the guy that fights Diablo He might have some trouble, but not everyone is fighting Diablo.
Not everyone wants to fight Diablo at
every
the same
time. It'd probably be fine. But yeah, that's probably what I'll do. Because right now, I played Diablo. I'm just like, it doesn't feel that great, right? So
I will, I know you're memeing, right? I will say, I will say that I've played like 1 or 2 Diablo games because I felt obligated to just check it, and like it hasn't been amazing for me. It just hasn't been fun either. So I do feel like he is worse than last time. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there is this. I did also have a double Nomi game today where I didn't die. So that is something like old Diablo would not have let that shit pass. Be like, what? That 2 Nomis on your board, you're dead, right? But anyways, overall there is the shift, whether it's partially placebo where people are playing higher tempo just because Diablo is in, or whether Diablo is forcing them. Like it is a higher tempo environment that what's going on right now.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Like even if I'm not saying that that's the case, right? But even if Diablo has completely no impact, just the fact that people play higher tempo will change your game. You're going to take more damage. People are going to stay on tier 2 instead of going like. I feel like tier 3 on 6 gold was such a common thing in the previous meta where people were really doing that, where they were just jeeving straight to 3 and then sometimes jeeving straight to 4. That is just way less common if other people aren't.
I don't really see that
with you. Yeah, I saw this as well where there was a lobby where there was no Diablo, and 8 gold, everyone was tier 4. I was like, this is how like you're playing at at least a little bit of a higher MAR where everybody can look at the lobby and be like, okay, what makes sense? Like why am I staying on tier 3? It makes sense to go to 4. There is no Diablo. People shouldn't be going high tempo. So in that regard, I've been kind of proud of my fellow lobby members. Where like I was thinking like people are gonna they're gonna play the same, right? They're gonna play the same. They're gonna be on tier 3, buy their fucking jugglers.
The real question is, what region is this?
That was on EU, man. That was playing on EU.
I knew it. So my excuse is they're just following like there's like 2 people over the 4. They're like, oh yeah, and let's just follow the leader.
Shady Bunny guy went to 4.
Yeah, they're not thinking for themselves, Shady.
And then that's true, Collins. I went up and suddenly the 7 other windows, boom, all went to tier 4.
I knew it. That explains.
Back to me now.
Classic EU.
Okay.
Anyway.
So I guess TLDR. Break it down for us, Collins. What's the takeaway here for Diablo?
There's no takeaway. Just dodge him for a week. Like, what's the takeaway? Like, yeah.
I guess for me, the takeaway was like play slightly higher tempo, but still, if you see an opening to try and win, try to push that advantage. I guess that's the takeaway for me.
Yeah, some people like Diablo. I mean, I'm not really getting that from chat though, right? Like, I don't hear like, ooh, I love Diablo. Like, what I do hear is like, oh, I didn't play Diablo. I'm interested to try Diablo this time around, right? Like, that's more what I hear than like, oh, I miss Diablo. Like, I'm not hearing those comments.
That is, I very, very sporadically you do hear, but the overwhelming majority is, oh, why is this happening? I guess, or like, not this again. I will say that if you do decide to play, there is really no point in complaining, and then you just have to change your mindset and say, okay, how can I use this to my advantage?
Yeah,
that's pretty much it, right? Like you don't want to be one of the people that says, oh, I lost, but that's only because the game is bad right now and Diablo is in, right? You're going to be like, okay, well, if you're going to be like that, just don't play for a week. That's fine. That's totally fine. If you're not going to enjoy yourself, don't play for a week. But if you are choosing to play, you have to say, well, okay, I died. What did I do wrong? Probably shouldn't have gone to 5 there. Maybe I should have stayed an extra turn on 3. Maybe I shouldn't have gone for the pair gaming. Maybe I should have taken the spawn. All those things where you might want to change your play, or you definitely are going to want to change your play for this week, as there's going to be a higher reward for tempo. Like tokens might be slightly less valuable. Bacon might be pretty good again, where you're buffing your unit for winning the fights. Those kind of things.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it is cool this can help like teach you some habits, right? Because I feel like sometimes like betas will like teach you things. Like the Naga meta, like it taught a lot of people how to level to 5 and get 6 draws, right? Like This one you might teach you how to play safe or stabilize, things like that. So even if it's not like a meta that's gonna last, you might learn some lasting skill sets because of the meta. So
it's a tier 4 crash course, I would say. That's what Diablo is for. I think
maybe
a lot
for
of people.
you. I mean, I was still playing tier 6. I already know this skill set, and I do not want to use it. I'm just gonna do what I want to do, anyways. But yeah, overall, Diablo's here. Change the meta. Learn it or don't play. Either way, it's up to you. And I think our final topic of the podcast will be about bugs, because there's been a decent amount of discussion about bugs in Hearthstone already, and I figured I kind of wanted to talk about some other, like, just generally, like, what's your thoughts on the bugs? Obviously, you're not gonna be like, oh, I love bugs. Oh, I love
completely
abusing
indifferent.
them,
Don't
blah blah
affect
blah.
me. Don't affect me at all. Yeah.
But it is
All
interesting
right.
that like, there's always bugs in the game, and sometimes it feels like they're so hard to fix, right? Like that might be due to, like, just old code, right? Because Hearthstone is an old game, realistically, at this point, and some of the people that coded the game aren't there anymore, so it's hard to, like, find out what's causing this one issue. I have to look through the whole system, But it is still sad that, patch over patch, right, you'll still see the same, like, Battlegrounds bugs, like, even if you think they should be solved, but, like, you'll still see them over and over and over and over. And I would say the biggest one right now would be the lag. At least that's the one that affects the most number of games, right? Every
I think
game.
that's fair to say. I don't even know if we can call it a bug, right? I think that is just something that got introduced with the Naga
With the
patch.
Nagas, yeah.
The game got significantly slower. Where, if you haven't noticed this, where it is really, really apparent is if you, if you just want to test this out for yourself, is like try queuing up actions. Like, let's say there's, like, very randomly, there's some sellies in the shop, 2-3 sellies, just buy, play, sell. You'll notice that they'll almost form a queue to be sold mid-screen. The sellies will just be hovering in the middle of the screen waiting to be sold, and that is just, I guess, in my opinion, unacceptable. If you are playing, it's like when you're playing Millhouse and you have a golden reroll wraith. My goodness, man, like, if you have a particularly good turn, you will not finish that turn due to the lag.
It's so bad for us because we know what it is without the lag. We play without the lag,
and we generally also play faster, I would say. I feel like you don't know, because I get this quite often where people say the game lags so much more for you than for me. It's like, I'm probably playing a little bit faster than you as well. Like, when's the last time you had 2 hoggers with a golden Peggy, a Dark Gaze Elder on your board, where, like a golden Brand with a Reef Explorer? Like, the boards we manufacture as higher level players tend to be a little, not always, but can be a little bit more APM intense. And the game needs to function properly to accommodate that. And when your cards are forming a queue to be sold, that's not very, very good when you're trying to go fast.
This patch, like, watching other people play is painful. Like, at least, like, high level APM players, watching them play is actually, I feel pain. Legitimately, it hurts me to watch them and be like, oh, they couldn't do this, oh, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do this, they couldn't do this, right? It's just like, it's so rough because we know the potential and we've seen them, like, or you've seen yourself, like, make these boards with the time they have allowed, right? Like, and then you just watch, it's not even like half as strong, it's like a third as good of a board, and then if they, like, barely lose and you're just like,
they would have won.
They would have easily won that game. And I would say that that's maybe the most problematic. I feel like it's like that spellcraft, like, causing it. There's some interaction with having spellcrafts in the game where you play the spellcraft and they're like, oh, do I need to check for them to create a spellcraft or not, and that like in every action causes like a small delay because
Yeah, I'm not gonna pretend like I understand
I don't
it.
know it either, right?
No,
Who knows
it's
what the problem is, right?
yeah,
Like
exactly.
to be
Like we're
fair,
not here to say,
I
"Oh,
don't I
just
don't
do this, bro, and your game will be faster, bro." Like, no, we're not gonna be doing
I
that.
mean
We could just say, like, "Hey, something changed, and it doesn't feel very good
yeah,
right
I
now."
mean it's one of the issues with having like same clients, right? Like I know they want them in the same client because that's how you'll grab like all the viewerships can combined for like Twitch viewerships and all that stuff, right? But it also adds like more complexity into the code where it's like, oh, you can't just have like a separate battlegrounds. Everything is super clean. Or you can't have a separate constructed, right? And then it's very easy to like specifically target this bug, right? Because the code is less and everything doesn't interact with each other. Like we've seen some bugs where it's constructor causing it in Battlegrounds, where they'll change something in constructor and then oh, there's a bug in Battlegrounds. Have you seen that? I don't know if I have like specific examples.
Yeah, I know, not immediately, not off the
Yeah,
top of my head.
but that has happened before, right? Where it's like oh,
Hmm.
there's been a change in constructor, like oh, something happened in Battlegrounds where it's a bit weird and but I do understand why they want to keep it in. It's just annoying, right? If it becomes like very difficult to fix like these problems that come. Same thing like the Barov one I thought was pretty interesting, right? Because I believe one of the developers was asked if
Yeah.
Barov would be okay. Yeah, Dom, right? Yeah, if Barov would be fine, right? Because we had this bug before, right? Where
Mhm.
oh Barov, if you bet with Barov with Diablo in the lobby, you'd get like fights that can't happen. you
Yeah.
know, or things like that where it's like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. And you would think, right? Like you would think that they had solved it, right? You would really think like, oh, this is something
This
that was there months
this
ago.
absolutely gives me vibes of surely the leaderboard will be locked this time around, right? Surely if I queue this time, my name won't be wiped from the leaderboard, right? I'm like, wah, wah, wah.
Yeah,
So yes,
you would,
it's
yeah, and it's so weird. Like that in particular is so weird because he sounded like it would have been fine, right? Like, he was like, oh, it'd be fine, but
yeah, and once I want to make it very clear, like we're not sitting here like, man, they're just wanting to make a laggy game, or they
no,
just
no,
don't
no.
want us to keep our leaderboards fun. Like, no, I mean, there's shit going on, and probably in real time, they're like, huh, yeah, okay, didn't see that one coming, or like we want to fix it, but we don't have the resources, or whatever. Right? Like,
Yeah, it's weird.
I
Like
do want to make that disclaimer.
it's definitely weird that if they were asked, like, we don't have the resources and stuff like that, because it is a big company, right? Like it is a very large company with it should have the resources to like hire more people to like
Oh yeah, I
specifically work
think
on it.
if the mission, right, was we are just 100% focused on trying to get the best player experience possible, absolutely they would have the resources. But it
It's not
also
worth the
needs to,
money.
yes, it needs to make money, right? And of once
That's
like
sad.
I
I
I
know.
do
I
want to
know.
say that at this point we're just two guys bullshitting. Like I do want to make that very point. You're listening to two guys bullshitting. Be like, oh yeah,
Oh, he got close. What happened, Shady? This is that. It's lag, guys. It's lag. Welcome back.
all right,
You need your
Discord crash.
camera. You need your
Yeah,
camera.
yeah, they got to me.
They
They got
heard
to
you.
me.
They heard you, Shady.
I was removed. Yeah. Anyways, like I was just wanted to re-emphasize on that. You're just listening to two guys bullshitting, and that's fun sometimes. Sometimes it's fun to bullshit, and I'm sure that most of the players have thought about this. Where we do need to also be mature about this and say, companies do need to make money, but at some point, I will say, especially with this lag issue, it has been over the top. I think that I'm a fairly lenient guy when it comes to this. I'm just like, whatever. Like companies have to make money and this and that, and they're focusing on their expansions and like new content, and that's what's going to bring home the money. But I feel like the just how long it has
Yeah,
persisted.
like the
That's
game
been, yeah,
feels very much worse, like to
Yeah.
play consistently since this lag has been. There's comps I can't really run. There's games or turns I'll misplay it that I normally would get in because like normally I could do like 10 actions in the last, like that's how I play. I do all my
Yeah.
actions like and the rope starts and I'd be able to do that consistently, like, but now that's a lot harder. I have to start earlier. I have to think less,
Absolutely.
and it's a worse experience over personally for me to play the game because of how frustrating it is when things don't work out because of situations that didn't happen before this lag was extra lag was implemented. So
I think a great example is you hit a golden brand. When was the last time in this meta you were finishing consistently your golden brand turns?
never. Is that
Yeah, like the sad part is you have golden brand. You have an entire turn ahead of you. If you hit 2 Primal Fin
oh,
Explorers,
dude, I lost the
I
game.
will.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
I
I
will
lost
bet
the
you
game
you do not
yesterday.
finish your turn.
Oh,
Like, but how laughable is that when we come from? I come from playing APM Pirates like every other game, so to speak, right? Like you know me, right? I love that shit. I love like tier 6 brand gaming. I love APM Pirates, and right now I'm a beast Andy, man. I sit on tier 5 and I roll for Mama Bear. That's what I do because the amount of times where I have died with a gold, like dying with a golden brand is not something that usually happens. Like sure, the first turn, right? But
yeah,
once you make it past the first turn with a golden
you're
brand,
good. Yeah,
you win the game because you have a lot of stuff you can do, right? Especially now with Reef Explorer, Tavern Tempest, Murazont, whatever else, like Primal Fin Explorer. There's so much cool stuff you can do with a golden brand, but you don't finish your turn. So what is the point? What is the point to making a golden brand? Like you have to buy jugs basically, and even then you have to sit there, watch the jug animation 3 times, and wait until you can sell the jug, right?
oh
So
man,
one of the
that's
fastest cards for you with a golden brand is jug, and even that is slow, right? You play the 1/4 elemental that rerolls, you got to watch that shit, boom, 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 3 times before you can roll. It's just sorry. Now we're just now we're just
true.
ranting, but it is to the point where I feel like a lot of players have lost their patience over this. Where they say, like, enough is enough. Like this, it's really bad right now. It's really, really bad. And I think a lot of the players would say we are completely fine if you would just spend your time fixing this over making new stuff. But obviously, that's not up to the devs. They don't have like, oh, well, let me just clear my schedule. And be like, no, they can't do that, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that comes from higher up, where they say, no, spend your time on the things that'll make us money. And that is probably, once again, 2 guys bullshitting, disclaimer, right? But that is probably what's going on, where they need to spend their time on things that'll make money for the company and not, like as long as people aren't leaving by, by Indros. Thank you for that. As long as that's not happening, then they're not losing money on this. So that's not a priority. Now, this is not a call to action. Don't misinterpret that because I still, it's like Shady Buddy said it, where we gotta leave, right? Yeah. I'm still playing the game and I still do it every day and I still have a really good time. Just whenever I get like 2 hoggers or whenever I get golden brand, it does become very apparent that that frustration comes up, right? It's every time that the thing that used to be a source of joy, a golden brand was a source of joy, is now a source of frustration because I just end up losing with a golden brand where I know for a fact if the game wasn't laggy, I would win that whole lobby. Yeah. Anyways.
I feel you. I'm with you, Shady. I definitely understand. And it is rough, and I don't know what like the solution is, right? Like, I mean, unless like things would have to change higher up, right? Like game philosophies would have to change, right? Because I mean, the lag's been there for a while. The Brav bug was there, like has been there since the last Diablo, right? And if they're gonna reintroduce Diablo and Brav is still in the game, right? It should work, right? But maybe it did work, and then when they implemented it live, it didn't work. Right?
Yeah, it was just something they didn't foresee.
And then,
like that is while it's a bit comical, you can forgive and understand that, right? It's like whatever, it's just for a week. But it's like the lag is in every single game that you play.
Game, yeah. And then the taunt bug, we haven't talked about that one.
Oh right, yeah. So I don't even know the exact specifics to it, if there is like a minimum amount of time you need to spend waiting. But so something that can happen when you play your Argus is you reposition your minions to play an Argus.
Yeah.
You play the Argus, and the Argus will go off on the original position of the minions instead of the position that you just assigned to them. Now, you might say, oh, you were just too fast. No. There's clips. There's clips of people clearly waiting. And you have this little blue border as well around the card that like goes away while you're moving it and then comes back when it's there. Right? That's sort of like the indication of, oh, yeah, your action registered. You know, like if you play on Asia or you play on whatever high latency, you'll notice that that little blue border or whatever the indication is that the card is registered, that will be slower to appear. And I have a clip where I play an Argus where very clearly the action is registered on the servers and or allegedly, registered, where it just blatantly taunts like the middle of my board instead of the cards that I taunted. And I'm just like, what? Hello? So we've seen screenshot of people taunting their Baron when the Argus was clearly not next to the Baron. So those are game-losing bugs. You know, you don't really come back from frogs when you taunt your Baron. Like that's, you don't really come back as Buster when you taunt your Baron. And those are comps where you're gonna play an Argus at some point most of the time. So yeah, that's a
why
rough
we only
thing.
Houndmaster in this.
Yeah, that's why we advise you to play Houndmaster or module only, right? Like no Argus buys for now. So yeah, just be very careful with that. Wait an extra second. Also, minions tend to jump around a bit more than before.
I've had these turns where it's like the middle of the turn and my minion just moves to the left, and I'm just like, why? What's going on here? Like
they feel like moving around, man. So yeah, like this is another thing where if you queue up movements where you drag things to the front, it will never be correct the way how you placed it. It will always be some like the minion that you moved first to the front, and then you moved another one in front of it. The one you moved first will end up first, or something weird.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so often where I move, and then Bobby is like, put the baby girls first. I got it. It's like, no, that's not what it did. The timer does it. Oh, it's too late. You can't move it back anymore. The fight has already begun. You're just like,
that's true, man.
And then you lose the fight because your baby girls doesn't make it.
It's so hard to like target those things, right? Like it's probably a combination of like little things messing up.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is that compounds on the lag. So you're already playing with less time on your turn, and then when you're quickly trying to reposition your board with whatever time you have left, Bob it's basically just like, well, things are they gonna end in the right order? I don't know, man. Let's see if we win the flip. Yep, the deflector is first. that's lucky. Okay, we won the flip. Okay, I'm gonna stop because I feel like I'm just digging into the game right now, and I want to really emphasize that I'm still playing every day. I'm still having a great time. I still think that I enjoy playing this more than like TFT or whatever other auto battlers is the competition right now. So
you're
still doing a lot.
Out. I haven't played it though. It's not out though, but
yeah, I've seen Tyler play it.
Yeah, he's the only one I've seen, right? Like,
all right. Judge game already, right? Yeah.
Well, it's not even out. To be fair, right? So whatever. We'll have to see. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something they should look into. Like, try to encourage them to spend more time, especially the lag, because I mean the game is so different with the lag. It's a different game, I think, with the lag, because there's some of the like high level like leaderboard comps or like lobby legends comps are not available because of the lag, right? Because like
just Gallywix, the whole hero is almost invalidated, right?
Yeah,
like if you have a particularly good Gallywix game, it means you won't have a particularly good Gallywix game.
Yeah, I played Galleyhogger. Was it like 2 days ago? I wasted 20 gold every turn, and I won the lobby, right?
Yeah.
But I wasted 20 gold every turn. That's my game, and I feel horrible every turn. I'm just like, I'm throwing everything, I'm wasting 20 gold every turn, and I mean it's not the same, right? Because if there wasn't a lag, obviously I'd be able to use that economy a lot more efficiently, and like at the end of the turn, I'm just like roll, because I have 10 gold left. I'm just rolling, and it's just a very a rough feeling because you know how good the hero is, and you've been put in a position like it's not every game. If you're playing Galahorse, you're going to be in a position to waste 20 gold every turn, right? So it's a good turn, good game, but you still feel you can't utilize it correctly, and a lot of the high level comps where you can get into positions where you have a extra gold, right? If you got a brand, you get a hogger, you're playing like Nomi with rebowls or something, right? Where you have a lot of actions to be done, but you realize because of this, it's going to be a lot weaker version of what is capable, and especially against higher level players, right? If the player just like, I'm just gonna go beast, and you're like, I'm double Nomi, but then I can't beat the beast player because I don't have enough of it. Like it's so weird in tournament metas to just be like, you know what? Let me not play double hogger. It's not good enough. Let's just go beast because you just play beast and you're good, right? It just feels weird. It's a different game essentially.
Well, I've killed so many Galliwigs that had a dark gaze where I'm like, yeah, if they weren't lagging, they'd kill me here. But now I'm killing them when their game's over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, like once again, we don't need to keep going on that.
Yeah.
We know it, and I'm sure that the devs know
They're
it.
aware.
Right?
There's 100% sure that they're
team
aware of
knows
it.
it. They don't want this, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure that they're trying. It's just at some point it just gets a little frustrating, right?
Yeah.
But
We
let's
have
just
to
hope that
mention it, right? We can't just be like, oh,
we
there's
can't
no
be like,
lag.
everything. I play AP and Pirates all the time, no problem. No point in lying about it,
Yeah,
right?
I can't pretend it doesn't exist.
But
Sure.
yeah, no, absolutely it is. But yeah, so if that is something that you do get frustrated by, an adaptation that I have made is to play less APM intense compositions. So like Collins mentioned, Beast is just amazing for that. Like Mama Bear, 50 seconds on the clock at the end of your turn, you just roll for Mama Bear, roll for Crocodile, roll for Rat
Pack. I'm not an APM focused guy. Like I don't like it. It's too much extra effort. But this meta is like really digging it down. Like, oh, that's the right playstyle, Collins. Don't even bother trying because you don't even have the time to really make it feel good. Yeah. So yeah, definitely agree. But that's really all I had, or all we had in terms of topics. Any last words of wisdom or whatever?
Well, good luck to you on your qualifier. We'll have another podcast before that.
When is that? On the 20th? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have a podcast or two even before that.
Yeah, we'll have two.
It's still good. Like consistently, Collins has been in every single qualifier so far, right? So good shit. Awesome. Happy to see that.
But the problem now is like if I don't make one, I'm gonna get shit for it. Like, oh, you didn't make it this time. What happened, Collins?
Just washed up, right?
He's washed up.
End top 16 in one of the months. Oh my god, yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's fine.
Of course, it's fine, Collins. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all we have today. This podcast, we passed an hour. I wanted to make sure we passed an hour this time.
For basically 2 hours.
Yeah, basically 2 hours. Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I see one.
Yeah. Oh, we had a comment on the YouTube like, oh, this was my first time watching. Last week we were like, oh,
right. You're like, oh, they'll just start at the first one, right? It's like, no.
But thank you guys for joining us. You can send feedback at HSBG Podcast. If you want to find us, you can find me at Educatedcollins at Twitch and Educatedcollins at Twitter. Same thing, you can find Shady Bunny at Twitch.
Shady Bunny live for Twitter.
Yeah. Twitter,
and just Shady Bunny on Twitch.
Yeah, exactly. And had a good time, a lot of fun. Next week we'll be out of Diablo and out of lag. I'm calling it down. After hearing this, we're gonna be like, let's fix it.
All right.
I don't know. I want it's the Naga patch is what added the lag, right? But even in non-Naga lobbies, it's still laggy, right?
So. It's weird.
I don't know how to adjust that, right? But it's definitely
Yeah, that's the part where I'm just like, no
Yeah,
suggestions,
no suggestions. Just
not gonna pretend that I'm any good at that. It's just like something changed with your introduction of Nagas. Could have nothing to do with Nagas at all, but something changed in that patch, and that's when it started lagging. Okay.
yeah. All right, and I guess I am gonna play a bit, and we'll see. See you tomorrow. Yeah. That's all we got. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Hope you guys like the podcast. Yep.